What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and you're here with the What More Do You Want Network. Now, this video, I I kind of was hesitant to make this video because obviously Rudy Gobert was already traded by the Utah Jazz, so I figured we wouldn't get no more news from the Jazz this offseason because I figured okay, they traded away Gobert. It was either going to be Gobert or Donovan Mitchell gone anyway because the way last season ended for them, it just didn't seem like the two of them ever was going to, make it work collectively. But you look at the Jazz as a whole, top to bottom, they're a pretty good team. Now, barring in the West, where you have the Suns, you have the Warriors, who just recently won a championship. You have the Nuggets, who hopefully this year will get healthy with Murray and Michael Porter Jr. returning to go along with Jokic. So you see them trade Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they get a pretty good haul in return for Gobert. So you thinking, okay, they're going to just build around Donovan Mitchell and, continue on in that path. But I always say this about the NBA. There's no room to be mediocre. You're either going to be really good or you're going to be really bad. Because being a mid-pack team in your conference, a 6 seed, a 5, a 4, that really doesn't resonate into championships. Like, let's be honest. Like, and it's different than football. In the NBA, you definitely have to have arguably a top 5 player, maybe a top 20 as his, sidekick, and a few role players and a pretty good bench to actually win a title in the NBA. So in the NFL is very different, right? When it comes to football and championships, because, you'll see a team compete for a championship one year, then the next year they just fall completely off the earth. It's like day and night. We've seen it a few years ago. I believe what it was, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were right there on the cusp of something special, and then, now they ended up with Trevor Lawrence as their quarterback, being the number 1 pick. So we know how that goes. Now, back to the initial reason for this video is, one, being Donovan Mitchell. So the Utah Jazz, as of recently, I believe, are, taking calls on Donovan Mitchell. Now, one team that we know is very interested in adding a superstar to their roster is the New York Knicks. They struck out on Zion. They struck out on LeBron. They struck out on Bosh. They struck out on Kyrie. They struck out on KD. So now I figure is the time. They just added Jalen Brunson. So you got Brunson to go along with RJ Barrett, who, currently, I believe RJ Barrett is the face of the franchise. Even though they still have Julius Randle right now, I believe RJ Barrett is the face of the franchise. I don't think Tom Thibodeau is the coach for this particular Knicks team. Now, granted, the Knicks played very well 2 years ago. Julius Randle was most improved. He was an all-star. But the entire Knicks team regressed last year. No Derrick Rose because of injury. Obi Toppin was okay towards the end of the season. They trade Kevin Knox for Cam Reddish. Cam doesn't get any type of minutes. And like I said, I feel like the entire team regressed last year. Now, I did the trade machine on the ESPN website, and they could pull a trade to bring Donovan Mitchell to New York. The trade would look something like Mitchell going to the Knicks, and Utah sending, I believe I put Julius Randle and Cam Reddish going to Utah to make it, to make it even out. The Knicks are already 28 million over the luxury tax, so it really doesn't matter. And Utah Jazz is 11 million over. So I don't know how all of it is going to pan out in the end if that was to work with those three players. But obviously the Knicks want a premier superstar. Now the talk is, with all the analysts and all of those guys, the talking heads, of course, that Donovan Mitchell isn't worth, what some teams are, what the Jazz is asking. He's not this, I guess, premier player that some people made him out to be. But he averages 28 points in the playoffs. I mean, what team wouldn't want that? It's just, it's kind of funny when when things aren't always sunny, I guess, for a franchise. And you look at a team like the Jazz, and you just look at the last few years where they were a dominant team in the regular season, but then when it came to the playoffs. So when it came to the playoffs, we just saw them just totally lose it. Whether it's from lack of coaching, whether it's from lack of other stars showing up. I mean, when you got a Donovan Mitchell who can get you 30, maybe 40, 45, 50. You have to add him with another player that can go out there and get similar buckets. You can't depend on Rudy Gobert to go out there and get you 30. That's just not his game, right? Hell of a defensive player, but offensively he has his limitations. Defensively, he can be a liability because a lot of teams like to put him around the perimeter, especially when it comes to playing against teams like Utah. I mean, not Utah, excuse me. When it comes to Utah playing teams like Minnesota, Minnesota is, they have Cat. Cat plays a heavy perimeter oriented game. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid range, and also he can go by guys. So, Gobert doesn't have to worry about that now. Minnesota doesn't have that. Minnesota doesn't have that problem. So, Utah doesn't have that problem. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how things unfold. Of course, a lot of buzzing is around the league that the Miami Heat will go after Donovan Mitchell. I'm interested to see if the Brooklyn Nets will consider going after Donovan Mitchell. I mean, if they want to pull a way to get KD out of there, get Mitchell, maybe do some other, wheels and deals to try to make some other things work because the Nets want a ransom for him. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll see how things unfold in the future. I'm very interested to see where Donovan Mitchell plays next year. It could be Utah, could be anywhere. Could be Philly. Who knows? The Sixers definitely, with James Harden potentially taking a pay cut, they are in the market for another star to go with Embiid and Harden. So we'll see. Like I said in previous videos, the Embiid window is not as big as a lot of people think it is. Not even because of age, but because of injuries. You know how it is with bigs after knee and feet and multiple feet injuries. It's just the writing is on the wall. So they have to make it. They have to capitalize on the opportunity they have now on such an MVP talent. But this video is not about Joel Embiid. This video is about Donovan Mitchell. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the Utah Jazz will trade Donovan Mitchell this offseason? Do you guys see that it doesn't happen as soon as people think? I mean, we are only in July. So we haven't even touched training camp. We haven't even touched preseason yet. We haven't even gotten to, the first actual week of the season. The Warriors haven't gotten their rings yet. So we have a long, long, long way to go before we discuss who's, doing what, where, when, and why. Of course, I appreciate you guys always tuning in. It's Astronaut H. It's the What More Do You Want Network. Please don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that post notification button. And as always, I catch you guys on the next video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Drop a comment. I'm always here to, hear from you guys. And of course, like I said, once we get those, start hitting those milestones as far as the subscribers count go, I got some giveaways on deck for you guys. I appreciate the love and support. It's Astronaut H. I catch you guys on the next video.